right, everyone is back. Judges, let's get ready for the next segment. I would like to put our hands together to Paunjal Jandoc from Philippines and his project titled Silong. John, are you ready? Paul, sorry, Paul John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, over to you.
Let me tell you a story. A story of a simple yet meaningful gesture of care for the people and the environment. And a story that starts with this. Over 21,000 Filipinos died from coronavirus as of today. More than a million got infected. 400,000 evacuated due to the volcano's eruption, and a big number of Filipinos got devastated, and at least 180,000 evacuated due to Typhoon Vamco. And if we keep on discussing this, we will never run out of numbers. It is indeed very heartbreaking to see my fellow Filipinos watching their houses and belongings just being taken and destroyed by strong floodwaters. Within seconds, everything was gone. Torrential rains and back-to-back typhoons have ripped through the country in the past years, turning once a picturesque community into river or sea of murky brown, killing dozens and setting off deadly landslides. But even so, we still see them smile. And what's more remarkable is that they are ready to give refuge despite their suffering. I have seen so many photos where distressed people welcome their kabarangays or neighbors to their rooftops because the houses of the rest were already washed out. These just shows the resiliency of Filipinos, and here in the Philippines, we have a cultural practice called bayanihan. Bayanihan is the collaborative effort between every individual in the community to help those in need, regardless of what culture, color, and religion they might have. Another term for bayanihan is silong. Architecturally speaking, silong means the underneath of the house, particularly the space below the main floor. But to us Filipinos, silong's real meaning is to offer and share your space to others. Therefore, silong signifies shelter, a helping hand, and most especially, care. And with that, I can say that bayanihan still prevails even more at times like this. So I ask myself, what can I do? Because of that, I was even more touched, and this became my strong motivation. So through this competition, I can now amplify this simple solution and use it as a voice to possibly reach out to the authorities and raise awareness of solutions for these kinds of dilemmas. And upon thorough research and trying to understand their situations, I ended up considering three of the top needs of my fellow men. And those are a house, an evacuation center, and a communal space. I took these three considerations, fused them all together, and I formed three Filipinos laying side by side, depicting the concept of togetherness and concord. And so I came up with an all-in-one shelter. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, architects. I am Paul Jan Abuyo Handok, a young designer from the Philippines, and I welcome you to Silong, a sustainable human-centered design shelter anchored on living one with nature. And these are the main strategies that I applied in designing Silong. First, sensitive and smart architecture. Being empathetic towards the needs of the people and the community, and being mindful to the preservation of Filipino culture and natural environment in designing Silong. Occupants' energy consumption is minimized through the adaptability of Silong towards the climate. Silong has a compact living unit incorporated with all the basic areas of a livable home. Silong houses can consume less energy because it is properly oriented to capture enough sunlight, wind or breeze, making use of appropriate shading devices, wide windows in the north side, and breathing walls. Silong is equipped with proper arresters of free natural resources, and rainwater is collected and stored for reuse. So in designing Silong, the needs of the people and the community are the topmost priority. Fun fact, we Filipinos are one of the biggest fans of basketball. That's why every community here in the Philippines have their own basketball courts. And aside from playing the game, the court is used for hosting pageants and celebrating other cultural practices and feasts. Silong have green enough space for the community to gather and enjoy nature, life, and the biodiversity that is present in the development. Silong is inspired by the native indigenous dwelling unit called Ifugao House, and that is located in the regions of the Cordillera, where the eighth wonder of the world, our very own Banawe Rice Terraces, is also located. Ifugao house have three functional levels as shown in the image. The posts have wooden disc or capital which is called halipan. Halipan is used to prevent rats from entering the house. And of course, our very own bahay kubo or the nipa hut. The walls of these dwelling units have different patterns which represent the region or the culture where the occupants belong. These details are incorporated in designing Silong, where the ground level will serve as a multifunctional area, and just like the Ifugao house, Silong also has its own capital. These capitals have grooves or gratings of the occupants' cultural patterns, just like in the islands of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Those patterns will serve as an inclusive architectural character, and these patterns can also be applied in the wall panels. So the second level will be for social affairs, eating and cooking, and the third level is mainly for sleeping. The roof slope has a 50-degree angle to house the third level comfortably and of course to withstand rainfall load and strong typhoon wind. This is the conceptual site evolution wherein a flat site is pushed up, creating now a sloping land area. And to take advantage of that slope, it is best to put bioswales at the runoff zones to filter rainwater. I use these forms to form the pedestrians, bike, and vehicular lanes. And here, we can see the basketball court at the south side where the holding tank is located underneath and the community hall at the north end. And these are now the Silong units. Next one is innovation and integration of technology. Silong as an evacuation facility can address flooding because it uses wall panels and bedrock that has EPS or expanded polystyrene inside, and that can be detached if unexpected flooding occurs. Usage of mobile app as a way of future proofing. The occupants can customize their own unit, check live updates about the construction and the performance of their unit through this application. So this is Silong during normal rains, and when unexpected flooding rises beyond the second level, they can now use their wall panels and bedrock to rise with the water. Hence, flood resiliency. Next one is low impact. Cost-effective construction with the use of precast and modular construction. Structural members are precasted off-site, and bamboo treatment by immersing bamboo in seawater will happen simultaneously. And in that way, construction phase will be much faster. Bamboo. So there are three main species of bamboo that are present in the development and will generate the main building material for Silong. And those are kawayan tinik or bambusa, Dendrocalamus asper, and Cystoscium lima. But the question is, why did I choose bamboo? For some, they already consider this as cliche. Well, first, I want to stop the wrong notion in our country and raise awareness that bamboo is not a permanent timber. Because if we treat it the right way, it will serve its purpose. And the fact that bamboo is a sustainable building material. So by growing bamboo on site, importation of materials will be eliminated. The use of recycled materials like Capiz windows from the old houses here in the Philippines, reclaimed wood, and broken tiles. Low impact on environment, using overhead water tanks that utilizes gravity in feeding the low-flow plumbing fixtures and composting toilets, and the orientation of the houses to maximize the use of free natural resources. And lastly, the lower parts of the roofs and the railings will be used to grow their food like string beans and other fruit-bearing vines. These are just simple ways, yet these give large impact in minimizing consumption. So these are the Silong components: the bamboo roof assembly, the bamboo framings, the bamboo and recycled materials as envelope, the bamboo stairs, the substructure, the EPS sandwich panels, the breathing walls, the folding interior stairs, and lastly, sectioned bamboo for balustrading. Next one is the concept of oneness, and what we are reading at the moment is our ace or edge over the other, the makikisilong concept and bayanihan. Again, bayanihan is the collaborative effort of the community to help those in need. Silong, on the other hand, signifies shelter. So in constructing Silong, the culture of bayanihan is present, where the people will manually lift a part or a section of the house and deliver it to where it will stand. So this is the first phase where the substructure is erected. Phase 2, platform is assembled, lifted, and attached to the beams. 3, this shows the 3 sections of Silong units to be lifted and manually moved by the people. Hence, bayanihan culture. 4, bamboo and recycled building materials as placed accordingly, and finally, finished Silong unit. Silong has the simplicity of design and construction. Therefore, replication in all parts of the country is possible. And imagine if every community here in the Philippines or even parts of Asia have this. What kind of a beautiful change will it be? Now, the question is, what can the community get from participating in building and designing Silong? 1. A shelter. As mentioned earlier, it is a compact living unit incorporated with all the basic areas of a livable home. Second, a refuge. Silong is flexible. It can adapt to health crises, disasters or calamities, and emergencies. For instance, flood. This pink space is ready to be offered to another victim. And another timely example is COVID-19. The pink space will serve as an isolation area for the affected member. And during calamities like earthquake, fires, volcanic eruption, and the like, these pink spaces can be offered to other evacuees. And so Silong can accommodate up to 4 families and they can share a common service area. And the third benefit of Silong for the community is to be one with nature. As mentioned earlier, Silong is climate responsive. These simple design techniques will minimize energy consumption and of course for the occupants to enjoy the available free natural resources. Bioswales and bamboo forests that could boost biodiversity. This is Bamboo Grove where people can have their picnic, kids can play around, and it is where the community can assemble Silong components. And lastly, mimic and preserve the natural colors of nature through Nippon paint. This is a simple engagement for the community to boost their imagination and artistic side because they will do the paint job. And again, imagine if every community have and does this, what kind of a change will it be? Lastly, growing green. Regenerative design through bamboo. Waste management by repurposing construction waste. So in Silong, repurposing construction waste will remind and re-educate the community that not because it is trash, it is meant to be thrown away. We must really keep in mind the words reduce, reuse, and recycle. Lastly, community empowerment. And the best thing about Silong is that it allows the community to get involved in all means possible from the very start. And because Silong has green spaces, the community and their visitors can have more quality time to get closer, and that will now create a strong bond between them, and most especially, nurture the minds of the young generation. So the overall idea of Silong is to be a continuous experience between natural and built environment. A shelter, whether a lockdown-ready house, a resilient evacuation facility, or a pandemic-prepared center of life. Silong is tailor-made to become an architecture for the community that grows together and leaves no citizen behind. Filipino resiliency is often linked to the admirable characteristics of bamboo that bends the strength of the wind and its ability to bounce back to its original state. And we Filipinos are the one that bounces back so quickly with a smile and a joke, and all the while offering help and warmth to other people. Filipinos will continue to rise up and begin a new life again and again. Silong is a story of hope. A community that rises together no matter what they've gone through, and a community that offers a helping hand to their fellow men unconditionally. We can only prosper as a country when we decide to work together, men and women, citizen, people, and the government. And I am Paul Jan Abuyo Jandoc, and this is my contribution as a member of the community. An architecture that makes sure that every Filipino is given the opportunity to live a secured life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Silong, a sustainable human-centered design shelter anchored on living one with nature. Thank you very much for listening, and please take care because Silong cares. Mabuhay!
Thank you, Paul, so much. Let's start with Dr. Arash. Would you like to take it on first?
Hi, yes, and thank you for the presentation and for the energy of your presentation. And well, it's very interesting because you put on the main focus of your concept, the security and the environmental aspect that can be also a dangerous aspect and and it's interesting how you use the material based on bamboo and the traditionals that you put on place. And one thing that I actually understand, it's that you have this approach of the shape of one land on the hills, and this hill project, it's very interesting because you have this different morphology, so you can have some advantage, but in some other way, actually, for example, the court of the playground that you use for the colors that is inside the hill, it can be interesting. But in case of the emergency, is it a safe place or not? This is one question for me when I see the section. And another aspect is if this kind of shape that you put on it, this actually cross with arc, is the ideal distribution of the Silong, or is just an idea as a general concept, or this shapes of planning is related to security issues?
Thank you, Dr. Arash. Over to you, Paul.
Yes, sir. So the shape was derived from the three Filipinos, the main the three Filipinos, and it is a concept because that shape is a representation of we Filipinos laying side by side, and that is kind of signifies oneness. And in terms of the playground or the space, I think it is still safe because it is open, and a lot of people will see the children play around, and the security is not a problem since the rural areas here in the Philippines, they know each other, and they can watch out for the children to play around safely, I think.
No, just
right.
maybe I just want to regarding the playground security is regarding not for the normal using, it's okay, but in case of the emergency of natural events that you show us when you have a full of waters and actually this kind of situation, the security aspect is in case of emergency.
Yes, sir. So that is the job of the Silong units itself, sir. In case of emergency, of course, the children is not allowed, or people is not allowed. So the Silong unit will accommodate them. That's why the Silong components, even if it is a Silong units, I should say, even if it is a compact, the units can actually accommodate like 10 to 15 people because of its wide space, and it has a loft. So there.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Arash. Akhil Sibarani, would you like to follow up with your question?
Okay, thank you. Paul, I think it's a very interesting, and you should probably try to also work as a presenter, yeah, because you're very entertaining in explaining your concept. I'm very kind of like feeling very safe, yeah, knowing that, looking at your concept, that I can at least get to second floor and third floor, and I can float on the raft. I think you prepared your disaster readiness really well. I think resiliency is at your heart, and you take no qualms about taking the disaster to the extreme level. Yeah, I mean, you Filipinos and us Indonesian, we have this kind of situation in our country. I'm not gonna second guess on Malaysian and Singapore. Probably you won't get that kind of like flood situation. So I think I think your scheme is kind of like very prepared on that. But I was wondering though, you are looking at this Silong as one single unit of houses, right? Whereas as a community, as a bigger picture, one would think that the role of the barangay, I think, shouldn't be understated, because you do have a bigger space for people to congregate, to get certain services. You know, medical and evacuation is definitely normally happens in the barangay, right? And I was wondering whether you want to explore more on the architecture of that facility, because beyond your housing unit, which to me is very elaborated, but then is rather singular, kind of like a unit that you can just copy and paste it in many places, and assuming that that's all going to be the requirement of the people. But I was thinking you probably expand more on the where people congregate and what will be the architecture of that. Of the barangay. Thank you, Paul.
What's your perspective?
Definitely, I would definitely look forward to that. And we Filipinos, sir, the basketball court is serving serves as a multifunctional space where it can be hosting for medical something or whatever. But putting basketball court here in Silong will kind of reduce the space for those facility. But I will definitely look forward to putting some medical facilities in Silong.
All right, thank you, Paul. Architect Lillian, would you like to add on?
Yeah, true. We don't have. We're lucky not to have the frequency of disasters, but we still have man-made floods in Malaysia and Singapore as well sometimes. I think I commend Paul John's level of energy, enthusiasm, and care and passion to address a very common prototypical to address an issue at a very prototypical level to develop that house. I mean, it's I think it's a little bit too much of too many things in one, but in terms of form, I think that roof seems to be quite appealing and saves it from being just another prototype. You know, that's another prototype. I mean, it's quite a memorable roof form. But I agree with Sibarani's comment that you know, this approach will be made much stronger if there was more emphasis on how they are grouped and how they start forming communal shared spaces in between, and not just isolated single family units. Presentation is very compelling, though unexpected, maybe sometimes detract from the architectural qualities. Yeah, I think in terms of the typology, I think it's good, but I think it really needs to weave together so that the sense of community comes across more strongly.
All right, thank you, Architect Lillian. Architect Daniel, would you like to wrap it up for us? You need to unmute. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think the energy of the presentation, the clarity of the presentation is very commendable, very strong. I like it very much. And I think if one day you decide not to be an architect, maybe you can go into politics. I think that will be for you. I like your presentation, your design, everything. There are a few things that I just want to bring up. For example, the layout of your living spaces. As you go up the stairs, you enter, the first thing that you see in front of you is actually the bathroom. Not sure that is how Filipinos would like to design your houses. As you enter, the first thing you see is the bathroom, and that's also separating between the living spaces and your dining and kitchen spaces. So if you were to go between the two living spaces, you know, you have to walk by the entrance and the bathroom each time. So it's not how normally we would lay out the dwelling units in other parts of the world, like let's say in Vietnam or in Singapore or in Malaysia. But I'm not sure how does it appeals to the Filipino locals there. The other thing is about this evacuation thing. I like it that the fact that part of the house can be dismantled and then be used as a raft to sail away into safety in terms of flooding. But I'm also very concerned that if this ever happens, people will be actually capable to do that in the first place, to dismantle part of the house and use it as a way to escape from the disaster. And I think in the first place that we should be actually planning and developing the site in such a way that to avoid such kind of a natural disaster, we should really look at not place a low area near the river where this kind of thing can happen, because I think prevention is definitely more important than trying to solve a problem when it's already happened. But other than that, the other issue I may have is just, I think the creativeness in terms of the design of the dwelling unit and how it's used as a single family dwelling and in normal times, and also as a multiple family dwelling in the times of emergency is good. But the repetitiveness of the housing form itself, I think that needs to be looked at, because not every family probably wants to live in the same exact type of unit, and I think it can be better integrated with more interesting combinations and more interesting combinations also. For family, bigger family, maybe 3 generations under one roof or something like that, kind of thing. So I think what is lacking here is in terms of the forms, the excitement of different kind of housing forms, different type of roof form and things like that. Individually, as a unit, I think it is sufficiently developed. Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Ekaterik Daniel. Thank you, Paul, for your presentation and for your time. You may lock off now.